Hi, I wanted to make this video because I've been thinking. And this time I've been thinking about being sentimental. And the reason I've been thinking about being sentimental is because someone close to me died recently and all of their belongings had to be dealt with quite quickly because the house needed to be emptied. And it was a strong reminder to me about how sentimental I can get about inanimate objects. And it felt like quite an unhelpful trait to have in that situation. But luckily, most of the decisions about what to keep and what to get rid of didn't fall to me. And I was quite glad about that because I realised how hard I would find it. And to me, it feels like every possession is part of the story of that person. So getting rid of it means getting rid of that story. So it's a good job that not everyone feels like that, or we'd be in a total mess. My house would be full of things that we have no use for, like walking sticks or old-fashioned dinner sets. I really think I can find a way to be sentimental about almost anything, and that really isn't helpful when progress needs to be made. And I realise I'm probably not alone in feeling like this, but I also think that not everyone finds it as hard as I do. So, what's the difference between people who can manage this sort of thing and people who can't? Is it a common problem? And are there ways to overcome it? So I don't want to be the sort of person who's weighed down with too many belongings, especially as I'm getting older and heading towards retirement. But I also can't seem to help getting attached to things and then struggling to let them go. So I want to dig a bit deeper to find out why I might feel like that and whether there's anything I can do about it to try and make sure that I don't turn into one of those hoarders that you sometimes see on the TV. So I know I've always had a bit of a problem with throwing things away, especially if those things are connected to good times or happy memories with people. But I haven't had it put to the test for a while. So I think I'd forgotten how hard it can be for me because I get scared about throwing away memories. So when I realised a few years ago that I was struggling to let things go, I read a few books about it to get some encouragement, and I did manage to have quite a good clear out of a lot of the things from when my children were younger. And I was hoping from that I might have been cured. But the situation that happened recently with losing someone has made me realise how hard it still is for me to throw things away. And things that make me feel connected to someone else or remind me of times from the past. So what is it that makes people get attached to things, and why do some people struggle with it more than others? So I did a bit of reading up about the psychology of it, and like most things to do with people, it's quite complicated. Personality seems to play quite a big role, but also the culture or the family traditions that you grew up with. Some cultures put more importance on possessions and handing them down through the generations, whereas others put more importance on minimalism and keeping life simple. And life events can also have an impact, with people who've experienced loss or trauma sometimes getting more attached to their possessions to help them feel safer or to remind them of happier times. So I think for me, it mostly seems to be a personality trait that I'm just a bit too sentimental. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But if I can be aware of the complications that can come along with being a bit too sentimental, then maybe I can work with that knowledge and understand why I get those feelings, but that I don't necessarily have to let all my decisions be guided by those feelings if it doesn't fit with some of my other values in life. And I know that it feels important to me not to leave a mess behind me when I'm gone. So I really don't think I'll be able to achieve that if I'm hoarding things because I'm too sentimental. So if I keep that goal in mind, I'm hoping that it will help me to make better decisions about what to keep and what to let go. So I think one of the lessons I've learnt recently that should also be quite helpful for this is that no matter how many items you keep in your life, when you're gone, they're pretty much all going to be thrown away. Because other people don't have the space in their lives to take on all of your things, because they've probably already got too much of their own. So I think it's worth being realistic about what's likely to happen to the things that you're keeping after you've gone, because it might help to change your mind about whether or not it's worth keeping them. And I remember one of the lessons from one of the books that I read a few years ago was something like, if it isn't beautiful or useful, then let it go. So I don't think many of my sentimental items probably fit into either of those categories. So perhaps if I keep that in mind, as well as the knowledge that it's all just going to get thrown away when I'm gone anyway, maybe I'll be able to be a bit more ruthless. I know that I don't want a life that's weighed down with too much stuff, but I also don't want to feel regret or a loss of connection because I've thrown too many things away. So, do I just have to take the risk that I won't regret getting rid of things? I don't want to underestimate how much my mind seems to enjoy torturing me and trying to remind me about things that I'd rather not think about. But I also know that I can't remember now all the things that I managed to throw out a few years ago. So I should be able to take comfort from that those decisions haven't been haunting me. And I do like the idea of having less stuff. And I've often thought that one of the reasons that I like being on holiday is because of how few belongings I have when I'm away from home. I only have the things that I've chosen to take with me, and that feels quite refreshing compared to how many things I have when I'm at home. When I'm away, I have to make do with whatever I have with me, and it isn't generally a problem. I don't miss the things that I've left at home, but maybe I would if I thought I'd never see them again. So I tried looking around my house at some of the things that I can't bring myself to throw away, and then thinking about why I feel connected to them. So most of them seem to be because I like the memories that come to mind when I look at them or think about them. Or they're things that other people have bought for me, and I like the idea that they thought of me when they bought the item. And I can usually remember the stories connected to the items, and I like having something there to keep those memories alive and to help me feel connected to the people who were part of the story. But maybe there are other ways to keep those stories alive or to feel connected with people without keeping the items. And I've actually started a new hobby recently that I think might ultimately help with this problem. So I've started finding ways to learn more about the people I care about. So I'm collecting their stories and I'm taking pictures and videos so that I can build up a nice collection of memories about them to help me feel more connected to them and to make sure that I don't have lots of unanswered questions or forgotten memories about them. So maybe when I've made a bit more progress with that, I might find it easier to let go of some of the items which are probably connected to some of those people. And I can imagine being able to take some comfort from having a photo and a story about an item if I want to be able to let it go. So, an example that comes to mind, which is probably a bit silly, is that I've got a plant in my kitchen that's quite big. It kind of gets in the way and nobody really likes it, but it's got a bit of a story behind it that makes it hard for me to let it go. So basically, I bought it just before I met my husband. So I like the fact that it's been around for longer than he has, and I wonder which one of them is going to last the longest. And if I took a photo of it and wrote down that story, would it help me to let it go? I mean, it might do, but I still think I'd be sad to end that story. But then it's going to end one day anyway. And something that I do know is that if I go first, that plant would get chucked out straight away. So, what's the right thing to do with it? It's done really well to survive for 30 years, but nobody else would want it now because it's kind of a funny shape and not very attractive. But maybe that's what happens after 30 years and shouldn't be a reason to give up on it. So maybe that example helps to explain the sort of dilemmas that I go through and why I end up not making much progress. I mean, would I be happier if I got rid of that plant, or would I be sad? I don't know. So it just seems safer to keep it. And the other problem, really, with having too many sentimental things is that they all come with the risk of causing hurt. So I've had things that have been broken by me or by other people, or even thrown out without checking with me. And then I've been upset about their loss. So I don't really want to be like that, but maybe that's the price you have to pay if you want to have objects that you're sentimental about. But if I went the other way and really reduced the amount of objects in my life, would I actually prefer it? I mean, maybe I like having things that I'm attached to, and maybe it doesn't matter that they'll get thrown out when I'm gone. But I think my instinct is telling me that I'd rather not have the weight of too many possessions in my life. And I do believe that if I had to start a new life tomorrow with none of the objects that I have now, I'd be okay. So maybe I need to listen to that and be brave enough to start letting some things go. I mean, what do you think? Should I get rid of the plant? What would you do? I am going to start by journaling my sentimental items anyway, because I'll make it part of my new hobby. But I'll still need to decide whether or not that means the items themselves should go once I've captured the stories behind them. I think for now I'll wait and see how I feel once I have a photo and a few words about some of the things that hold memories for me. I have a feeling that it might be good enough to help me change my mind about letting go of some of the things. And I think it would be great if that proves to be a way of still allowing myself to be a bit sentimental about things, but then not having to keep accumulating more and more stuff at a time in my life when I'm trying to scale back on how much I own. So I'd be interested to know if other people struggle with this sort of thing and what you do about it. But for now, I hope you've taken something useful from this video, but I think that's all for this time. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.